the reason why I'm asking this is it because of language the entire misery of human beings started?
Yes,
That's
totally, totally.
then is it not high time that somebody gives a message of silence that cut your words?
Well, it can only happen when it happens, but yes, it's totally to do with language. But it became energetical because it kept getting repeated. I am this body. I am this body. There's become an energetical sense, and we passed it on cellularly to.
So can we say that when they talk about human evolution, they said language was the greatest thing ever to have happened, and so many things happened, poetry, etc., etc. It is language which screwed up mankind.
I mean, it only screwed up mankind from a certain perspective. I mean, it made great creativity and beautiful things happen, amazing things, but yeah, it did also screw us up terribly. We began to suffer because we believe we exist separately.
So before language, we were not suffering like this.
No.
Everybody was a Lisa Cairns.
Yeah, yes, but most probably the survival rate was only to about 20 or 30 years old.
But the point was not in survival, it is the quality of survival which is important, isn't it?
Yeah. Kids have it, they are identified, but it's less. So kids do have more of an a spontaneity, but it's more. But they're beginning to get it. But yeah, as the body gets older and older, it suffers more and more because it gets more and more a sense that it exists and that it's got to be something, whereas there's nothing to be. All the language, everything that we made up is an illusion. This is why I'm so adamant that animals don't suffer, because they can't think like we do. They can think as imagination, and like my dog has a sense where all her bones are in the house, and like so they have some form of thinking, but it's in images. But because they can't speak and they don't have this word I, they've never developed a sense that they are something separate inside the body, because it doesn't exist at all. It's only in our language that separation exists, but it's become energetical. It's become a sensation, but it's not true at all. There is no I inside the body. There is simply life, and there is no edge and world. This doesn't end here. It's only the thoughts that say I end here because my sensation ends here. That's not true. There is no difference between the air and the sensation. The sensation and the air are the same thing. And that's the way it was before language started. There was simply eating. There was simply looking. There was simply feeling. There wasn't somebody feeling a separate world. The feeling and the felt were the same thing. Then when language began, they were somebody in here. I went hunting. I ate fruit. And then this got repeated more and more and more. They became something. And more they had to be something good and get away from the darkness. All our films, all our drama, everything is about getting away from the darkness, but we invented the darkness. Darkness isn't death. Death is movement. Death is happening continuously. But we think there's this darkness that we've got to get away from. We even think that's the way liberation is. We've got to get away from darkness and get to pleasure. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with nice feelings, with bliss. It's all to do with an illusion of being something separate.
So, if it is not too radical, can we say that then children should not be educated with language?
No, it won't work because that we're passing it on genetically. It's in all the cells. It's in the cells of the human body. And the language will start. They'll begin to mimic the sounds around them. They can't help it. It's the way it's functioning. But what's happening in humanity simultaneously, and has been happening the whole time, but seems to be happening more now, is that there can still be language, there can still be intelligent thinking, but there can be a collapse of that sensation which says, that is me.
How can that happen?
I don't know how it happens. It just happens. I don't know how it happens. It just happens. There tends to be similarities in stories of how it happens, but it happens. And you're not left out because you've never existed. There's never been anybody independent that existed. There just seems to have been. There's never been 60 years or 30 years or whatever it is of somebody being separate. There's only ever been this instant. That's all there's ever been.
And it was language which created this separation.
Well, ultimately it's God. But yes, in the flow of things it was language. Ultimately it's no thing. No thing creates everything.
So can we have a declaration in the United Nations saying, all languages should be abolished.
No, because that can't be with the human.
You.
No, there can't be, and even if we abolish language, there'll still be that energetic sense of self passed on. It will still identify now. It's been so many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, hundreds of thousands, I even think. I'm not sure how long we've had language, but I think it's hundreds of thousands.
50,000 minimum, yeah, they say.
So but what is happening in humans, and I think it's been happening the whole time, but it's happening more so now, is that sense that is you, that you are found in language, which is opposites, you are found in duality. I mean, it's getting expressed so much now.
So language is duality?
Yes. Our language. Me, world, right, wrong. And notice the only way in which you describe yourself will be in that world, and will be with the comparison to something else. I am good. You are never anything, but you're only good in comparison to somebody else. You're only right in comparison to something else. It's this world of opposites, and it's like these barriers don't exist. We've been so fooled by it. These barriers were made up in order to communicate in a very limited way. To be able to say, pass me the salt, or how many fish do we have, or shall I put the fire on? We know fire because it's not air. It's not the wood. It's not the floor. We only know in comparison. So language is duality, and then what's happened is we've believed we're found in language, I am something, and then it's become an energetical sense. It's felt like you end here, and that there is an somebody, and I am in here. And what can happen is that I am can go back into the world and then disappear. And then there is just stillness expressing itself. And then that's the end of suffering. And then everything's different. There isn't death, there isn't life. Everything changes. Even though the body dies and the body likes things and doesn't like things and cries when somebody dies, it's just not happening to anyone anymore. That's happening, but in perfect stillness. So now when I speak, it's total stillness speaking. It's not even me speaking in my rubbish language of opposites. I say I, but just speaking happens, looking happens for no one as stillness, which is moving.